What about
That's how that works.
rub height? I know that's something that Dan talks about, but I also there's some farms where I know that and pieces of ground where there's definitely mature deer and there's not high rubs and they're just lower. And so, what's your opinion on that? Because I think a lot of people think like,
I mean,
it's a high rub. It's a good indication, right? But
sure.
Is it an end all be all?
Yeah, not for me. I mean, I hear like I scout with people a decent amount or some buddies, and there'll be a little bitty sapling that'll be like bent over and broken. They're like, there's no, a big buck had to do that. I'm like, dude, these are freaking wild 200-pound or not,
180.
Yeah, well, even a little dink buck is a wild like animal that's probably 10 times stronger than we are. I'm like, that freaking spike could have broken that tree. Like,
yeah,
I think at least.
Yeah.
And then, but I mean, there's definitely something to the height of the rub. Dan always talks about, the mass of the tree is not as important as how high up it is. But
one of the things I picked up on with Dan is relating that visual sign back to tracks as well. Not only in scrapes, but also in rubs. If you can, whether it's a signpost rub, whether it's a rub line, whatever kind of sign that you're finding, trying to correlate a track or some kind of imprint on the ground in relation to that. Because I think that this is me regurgitating some of this, okay? But like those high rubs with close tracks would indicate a bigger deer, or a lower rub with tracks that are
further back
would indicate a deer being further back.
See, I've never heard him say that. That's a good tip.
That's not from Dan, but
okay.
That's just, I've heard other guys talk about that. And I was like, well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd say 9 out of 10 people probably just look at the rub.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe 90 out of or 99 out of 100 in reality.
Yeah.
That's a good piece of advice.
Yeah. Yeah. Tracks are hard to beat, like finding a good set of tracks somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, typically if you've like Jake was saying, I don't know, I'm with you there. Like sometimes, especially in Indiana, we don't have a lot of rubbing, and we have a decent amount, but I don't know, we don't have as many bucks as like Wisconsin does or Michigan, some of those really deer dense areas. So but a big track is a big deer usually.
This is something I've picked up on, not big woods, but bigger tracts of timber. It seems like there's less rubs, or maybe they're harder to find. And then you find a piece like in Kansas or something where everything is more constricted and everything just feels like it's tore up. And then when you walk a timber piece, you're like, oh, there's really not much sign. But in reality, all these other pieces funnel this traffic on this edge, and there's so much sign versus like, well, there's a rub. You walk another ridge, there's a rub, and it's not as clear.
I would agree with that 100%. I don't know if that's a deer density thing or if that's
could be
the multitude or magnitude of habitat thing. I would say it's probably from my perspective, it's a deer density thing, like with less competition, less marking. But I don't know. I think that we try to shoebox too much stuff too, because when we were in some big wood pieces with Dan, like he got into a specific area that we believe one deer was laying down sign, and there was a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was correlated to bed to food from what we thought was one deer. Mm-hmm. And there was there was a lot of sign. Yeah, tore up. So I don't.
Yeah. Was it still pretty open, or was it like a tree fell down and there was new growth popping up along a point or something?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
It was pretty diverse. So long draw, hill country, long draw, and pretty decent infrastructure as far as like, I'm trying not to talk about it like too much because it's pretty easy to find on a map, but a little bit of infrastructure with a trail system, private ag down the bottom, going back off that draw, just like several points and some bigger drainages coming up, blowdowns. So the habitat was kind of fairly diverse, from hardwoods, poplar, and even some pines in that scenario. But yeah.